So good morning, everyone. Hope everybody is fine. As today I'm going to start with this lesson number 3, Electoral Politics of your Civics book. Yesterday I had given the intro of the whole lesson, introduction of the whole lesson, what all things you are going to read in this lesson, and you can understand what all things happens during the election process and all. So today just we are going to start with this lesson. As you know that our constitution makes India a representative democracy at all levels. All political decisions have to be taken by the elected representatives of the people, and thus the elections as such become the very important part of our political system. From the panchayats to the union government, all political institutions functions through elected representatives only, and these elected representatives are the representatives chosen by the people. And at the local level, people choose representative to panchayats, or we can say municipalities also, and these representatives are called panch or councillors in local level, at the local level. And at the national level, people elect members of parliaments known as MPs. So clear this much. Now we come to the lesson. The lesson is about the beginning of the lesson. It is given a situation where the assembly election is going on in Haryana. This is the assembly election going in Haryana. This is a situation given here, that the time is after midnight. Even the time is mentioned here, that after midnight, an expectant crowd sitting for the past 5 hours is in a chalk of a town is waiting for its leader to come. That means the crowd who is sitting for past 5 hours is just waiting for the leader to arrive and give the whatever means to give the speech or to denote them. Then the organizers assure and reassure the crowd that he would be here any moment. The crowd stands up whenever a passing vehicle comes that way. It arouses hopes that he has come. That means the every time whenever any vehicle passes over there, the crowd stands up to just to show respect to the leader, but and in the hope that might be the leader had arrived. The leader is Mr. Devi Lal. Now who is the leader? Mr. Devi Lal, the chief of the Haryana Sangharsh Samiti. So Devi Lal is the leader of the chief of Haryana Sangharsh Samiti, who was to address meeting in Karnal on Thursday night. And the 76-year-old leader is the very busy man these days. Now these days, this Devilal is very much busy. Then his day starts at 8 a.m. and stands after 11 p.m. He had already addressed 9 election meetings. Now he had already addressed means he had already attended 9 election meetings, and been constantly addressing public meetings for the past 23 months and preparing for this election. So for so many, we can say, months, this Devilal is preparing himself to fight the election and to win the election. Now, this newspaper report, whatever we have read just now, this is the extract from a newspaper. So, this newspaper report is about the state assembly elections in Haryana in 1987. So, this is the extract from the newspaper in which election in Haryana is taking place in 1987. Then The state has been ruled by the Congress party led government since 1982. Chaudhry Devilal, then an opposition leader. That means the state has been ruled by, means still now the Congress party was there as a government since 1982, and Devilal was the opposition leader. Then Devilal was then opposition leader. Then next year we see that this. So Devilal, when a Congress party was in the formed the government since 1982, Chaudhry Devilal was the opposition leader at that time, and thus we can say that then the opposition leader led a movement called Nyay Yudh, the struggle for justice. So this Devilal Chaudhary was an opposition leader, and he led the movement at that time, which was called as Nyay Yudh, and in English we can say the struggle for justice, and formed a new party, and thus he formed a new party, and that new party was called as Lok Dal. Am I clear? So before Devilal Chaudhary, who was the who had formed the government? Which party had formed the government? The Congress party. At that time, Devilal Chaudhary was standing as an opposition leader, and then he led the movement called Nyay Yudh, that is struggle for justice, and that new party was formed by Devilal, which was called as Lok Dal. Clear? His party joined other opposition parties to form the front against the Congress in the election. Now he has joined with the other opposition party. That means he has joined the other opposition party, means now coalition, to form the coalition government. When no party gets the vote, then the other parties join together, which had the similar ideas, similar expectations, and all. They join together and form the coalition. So that's why when Devilal Chaudhary had formed this new party, that is Lokdal, he joined with the opposition party and formed the front against the Congress in the election. Now this time in the election campaign, Devilal said that if his party won the election, his government would waive the loans of farmers. That means his government, when if this time Devilal Chaudhary's party wins the election, then when they will form the government, they will ignore, waive here means ignore the loans of the farmers and small businessmen. Whatever loans they have taken, that all the loans will be ignored by the government. He promised that this would be the first action of his government, and this after becoming after forming the government, this will be the first and foremost action, the step which will be taken by this Devilal Chaudhary's government. So you can underline this. What will be the first step after becoming the forming the government? First step of Devilal Chaudhary, to waive the loans, to ignore the loans of the farmers and small businessmen. Then the people were unhappy with the existing government. They were unhappy with the existing government, means at that time Congress party was there. They were also attracted by Devilal's promise, and thus when they were attracted by the promise of Devilal, that Devilal would ignore the loans of farmers, so definitely people will vote to Devilal's party. So when elections were held, they voted overwhelmingly in favor of Lokdal and its allies. That means when election were held, then in this election they will all got the most of the votes. Why? Because now all the people favored Devilal, and they had voted, they had cast their vote in favor of Devilal with great enthusiasm, with great excitement, because they were also not satisfied with the uh, prevailing government. Then allies means the Lokdal and its allies means those who favored the Lokdal those who joined Lokdal, this party. Lokdal and its partners won 76 out of 90 seats in the state assembly. Lokdal alone was won 60 seats and thus had a clear majority in the assembly. Thus, with so many seats Lokdal had won the election. The Congress could win only 5 seats. Thus, as Congress could win only 5 seats, that means only less seats were for there for Congress. Thus, who will make the government now? The Devilal, that is Lokdal party. Once the elections results were announced, the sitting chief minister resigned. So whosoever was sitting at that time as chief minister, he has to resign because according to the result, now Lokdal was on the seat, will be on the seat. The newly elected members of Legislative Assembly, that is MLAs of Lokdal, choose Devilal as their leader. Now MLAs, members of Legislative Party, had chosen Devilal as their leader, and the governor invited Devilal to be the new chief minister. And now, who will be the new chief minister? Devilal, as he has been chosen by all the MLAs as their leader. So he will become the chief minister now. 3 days after the election result was declared, he became the chief minister. As soon as he became the chief minister, his government issued the government order waiving the outstanding loans of small farmers. Now, as he had promised before the election that he will waive out all the loans of farmers and small businessmen, the same promise was now considered. And as soon as his government came into force and he had become the chief minister, the order was there for the means outstanding loans of the small farmers, agricultural laborers, small businessmen were to be ignored now. His party ruled the state for 4 years. Now, his party, whose party? Devilal's party, that is Lokdal, had ruled for 4 years. The next election now again, as you already know, that after every 5 years, elections are held so that whenever if you are not satisfied with the prevailing government, you can choose another representative for another party to form the government. Thus, and the party is forced to work according to the wishes of the people. Now, after working for 4 years, the next election were held in 1991, but this time his party did not won popular support. But this time, Devilal party did not got the support of the voters. But this party this time, his party did not win popular support. The Congress won the election and formed the government. Now, again, who was on this government seat? Now, Congress. Because now, after 4 years of having the forming the government, means election was held again. But then now, again, Congress won the election in Haryana. Clear this page. Now coming to the next page and next topic, why do we need election? Now this is the question arises that why elections are needed. So elections take place regularly in any democracy. When we have chosen the democratic form of government, then if democratic form of government we have chosen, then that means election has to be uh, uh, taken place regularly so as to have the pure democratic form of government. There are many more 100 countries in the world in which elections take place to choose people's representatives. Now, there are many more countries also in the world which have chosen elections, and elections are taken place to choose the representatives. And we also read that elections are held in many countries that are not democratic. Now, elections are also held in those countries which are not democratic. So, we can say that elections can take place in a democratic as well as non democratic countries. People why do we need elections? Let us try to imagine a democracy without election. Now a democratic country is there, but there is no election in that. So what type of position, what type of situation will be there? A rule of the people is possible without any election if all the people can sit together every day and take all the decisions. Means if elections will be not there, not held regularly in a democratic form of government, then what will happen? The all the people have to sit together to take particular decision. And but we have already seen in chapter 1 that this is not possible in a large community, as India is a large country, and this cannot be possible that each and every individual can sit and join the meeting to take the decision on any one particular topic, to make rules and regulations for the benefit or for the upliftment of the country. So, and nor it is possible for everyone to have the time and knowledge to take decisions on all matters. This also is very much important, that everybody should have the particular time and the knowledge to take the decision and to participate in the discussions to on the governmental matters. And therefore in most democracies people rule through their representatives, and that is why when it is not possible for each and every individual to sit and join together and to take decisions on for each and everybody, and might be they can differ in their views, so this election is necessary to choose the representative who will represent, who will take the decisions on behalf of the people. Now, is there a democratic way of selecting representatives without election? Now, a question arises that without election, is there any way to choose the representative? Now, let us think of the place where representatives are selected on the basis of age and experience. Now, these representatives are chosen not through the election but through the age. The one who has more experience, who is the person who is more aged, they are chosen as the representatives, they are be chosen as and selected by the people to represent or to take the decision. Or the place where they are chosen on the basis of education and knowledge. Another criteria of choosing the people is on the basis of education and knowledge. So if elections are not there, people can choose on the basis of age, experience, knowledge, and education. And there could be some difficulty in deciding on who is more experienced or knowledgeable. So in this also, in choosing the representative on the basis of this criteria also, a difficulty may arise that to whom we can choose as a more knowledgeable person, no more experienced person. But let us say the people can resolve these difficulties clearly. Such a place does not require election. And if the person can resolve such type of confusion, such type of discussions, they can just differentiate between who is really experienced and knowledgeable, who can take decision on behalf of the whole community and can rule for the benefit of the people, for the upliftment of the community, then definitely elections are not needed. But if this type of controversies among the people is there, then it is important to have the election in a democratic country. Am I clear this till here? But can we call this place a democracy? How do we find out if the people like their representatives or not? How do we ensure that these representatives rule as per the wishes of the people? how to make sure that those who the people don't like do not remain their representatives. This require mechanism by which people can choose their representatives. So all these questions will arise if election process will not be there. Might be some category of people can go with one particular person, that he is an experienced, other might differ in their views. So this will be the criteria arising, the situation of choice will be there, and thus no decision for particular representatives will be taken, and we will not be able to ensure that that is a particular, we will cannot be called that is a democratic form of government. Then this requires a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives, and that mechanism will be election, through election process. And it should be held at regular intervals and change them if they wish to do so. And if the people think that the particular representatives is not now working no more according to the wishes of the people, according to the benefits of the people, they can, in the coming election, again when the election will be held, they can choose another representative. This mechanism is called election. Now, this mechanism of choosing the representative at regular intervals is called as election. You can underline this. Therefore, elections are considered essential in our times for any representative democracy. In the election, the voters make many choices. Now, election, as you saw in the previous, in the case of Devi Lal, he had made promise that he will ignore the loans of the farmers and businessmen and laborers and all. The same way during the election, whosoever party wants to come and fight for the election to have the seat in the government, then they will make many types of promises. Might be those promises can be made, the false promises can also be made, but there in the case of Devilal, he had fulfilled his promise, and he was true to his promise and had ignored the loans. But might be during the election, whatever promises are made, they can be uh, false promises can also be made. So, therefore, elections are considered essential in our times for representative democracy. In the election, the voters make false choices. They can choose who will make laws for them, they can choose who will form the government and take major decisions, and they can choose the party whose policy will guide the government and lawmaking. So, these are the choices made by the voters now, not for the party, but these are the choices made by the voter, which can choose the representative who will make the laws for them, and he can choose the representative who will form the government and will take the major important decisions for the country. And they can also choose the representative or the party whose policies will guide the government and the lawmaking. So these are the choices the voter can have in choosing the particular representative or particular representative of the particular party. Now, what makes the election democratic? Now we have learned till now what is the democracy, what type of elections should be held, and why elections are important. Now, what makes an election democratic? Elections can be held in many ways. All democratic countries held election, but most non-democratic countries also hold some kind of election, as we have earlier seen that democratic and non-democratic both can, in both type of countries form of government, elections can be held. How do we distinguish democratic elections from any other elections? We have discussed this question briefly in chapter 1 for previously, that when what all things should be present to form that it is true democratic country. So now uh, I will today, that's all for today. I will continue from this paragraph in our next class. Hope everybody has understood till here. You read the lesson till here, and we will continue the lesson in the next class. Thank you.